Live from the Interaction Media Studio in Morgantown, welcome to the Positively West Virginia Small Business Mastermind. I'm your host, Jim Matuga. It's June 18th, 2021. For those of you guys joining us live on Facebook, welcome and thanks for tuning in. And we just have a great mastermind panel for you all today. Joining us right now is Deborah Martin. She's the director of the West Virginia Small Business Development Center, the WVSBDC. Deborah, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely. We have Karen Friel. Karen is the Small Business Administration District Director for West Virginia. Karen, welcome to the show too.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We have Rick Cavender. He's the Director of Charleston's Main Street program in Charleston, West Virginia. Rick, welcome to Positively West Virginia.
Thank you so much, Jim. Great to be here.
I think this is the first time on the show for you, right?
It is. Yes. I'm very excited.
Awesome, man. And Terry Cutright with TRC Associates in Morgantown. Terry, welcome.
Thanks, Jim.
Before we jump in, I just want to say a few words about our program. Every week at this time, we gather like-minded business leaders from around West Virginia to discuss some of the most relevant business topics of today. And we welcome your live comments and questions. Just type those in the comment section of the Facebook page that you're watching this on. Positively West Virginia Small Business Mastermind is brought to you by the State Journal, WVNews.com, and Interaction Media. As the economy in West Virginia continues to reopen, we have the mask mandate being lifted throughout West Virginia on Sunday, 2 days from now. The West Virginia Small Business Development Center, WVSBDC, is encouraging people to support small businesses through this brand new campaign. It's called Come In, We're Open, which just launched yesterday afternoon. And what I'd like to do now, before we jump into this, is I'd like to roll the video to kind of introduce this to our audience. Hampton?
Whether you were born here or you made it here as quickly as you could, this is where we call home. We're all West Virginians. Proud, hardworking, welcoming, open. What connects us? It's much more than these majestic mountains and flowing rivers. More than our history and where we're from. It's that sense of community we all share. That's what connects us. Our local small businesses are an essential part of that community. It's often said that small business is the backbone of West Virginia. They're our friends, our family, our neighbors. So support your community. Think of your local small business first. Come in, we're open.
Deborah Martin, Director of WVSBDC. This is great. Tell us a little bit about how this new initiative just came about.
So a year ago, back in February of 2020, which seems like a lifetime ago at this point, we all remember that Congress passed the CARES Act, and the SBDC was fortunate to get some funding from the CARES Act to help companies respond to and recover from the coronavirus pandemic. And one of the things that we proposed for our project was to think forward to knowing that at some point we were going to come out of the pandemic response and companies were going to need to get their customers back. You know, at that point, when we got the funding, everything was completely shut down. But we knew that at some point in the not too distant future, we thought everything would get back to normal and companies would need to get their customers back and to let the public know that they were still alive and healthy and, needed to get people in the door. And so we came up with this idea for just generically for a campaign, a broad campaign to make the public aware that businesses had survived the pandemic. They were eager to get their customers back and wanted them to know that their doors were open. And so we were fortunate with that general idea we came up with this video and this campaign that you see today. It's a
Yeah.
little later than we anticipated, but I think it all worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Karen, I'd love to get your thoughts on this as the director for our district for the SBA. Talk a little bit about your thoughts.
Yeah, it's definitely time. I mean, this is the time. The vital economic relief programs that the SBA has been administering and continuing to administer have been a lifeline for our nation's small businesses. And those small businesses, the eligible entities that's gotten the funding and so forth, and all of their employees have really been able to hang in there and to be able to help sustain them during this time. But the bottom line is now we're at a time when you're starting to see people get back out. You know, vaccines have been available for a little while and they're continuing to be available. They're free. More people are taking these as time progresses. And you just see people, you know, human beings, they just have the innate sense of resiliency and a desire just to get back out there to something that resembles normalcy. And I just want to note that our small businesses here in West Virginia, they have been working hard and they're going to work even harder to rebuild, but they truly do need our support. They need our consumer support and they need our resource partners support. And most of all, right now, they also need workers. They need employee support. So I think this video is perfect timing to kind of just create that awareness. So
Awesome.
Great job and great effort in making the video.
Yeah, Karen, thank you so much for those comments. Rick, I'd like to come to you next as the director of Charleston's Main Street program here in West Virginia. Talk a little bit about what both Karen and Deborah talked a little bit about and what you're seeing, your boots on the ground right there in Charleston, West Virginia. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, to backtrack to the timeline Deborah had referenced, you know, when the pandemic first started, you know, we as an organization, we dropped everything that we planned to do in 2020 for several reasons. One, we couldn't hold events, we couldn't execute certain projects. There were certain things we could not do. We shifted all of our focus to supporting the existing businesses. You know, we have always had a pretty robust recruitment program, and we've been mindful of the fact that we have vacant properties that we need to get filled. But because of the situation that we saw our business owners here in Charleston, and I know that mimics everywhere, but because of that situation we saw, we shifted all of our focus to what we called our Spend Local Safely campaign. Deborah was familiar with that. We met about it at one point and talked about it. And you know, what we learned through that process in launching our sort of real local micro level campaign is that during the pandemic, obviously but some businesses were struggling, restaurants, bars, some retail were struggling, but there were other retail that were booming, you know, hardware stores, they couldn't keep stuff on the shelves, right? I mean, there were what was interesting from my perspective was seeing how there were certain industries that were actually doing better in some cases because folks were at home. They were able to retain their jobs. They were at home. They were working on house projects. And then there were other businesses that were just struggling to get by. And so, you know, considering all that, we knew we had to create a central repository that included, you know, information about, you know, hours of operation, you know, things that you could pick up curbside, all of that. And really that was to make sure that these small businesses, local businesses were kept top of mind when folks were going out to buy their lumber or, you know, to get takeout. They weren't thinking about going to the big boxes. They were thinking about, you know, our local district businesses first. So that was really our focus. And so now that we're in this new era of the pandemic and things are lifting and people, as you mentioned, Karen, people are now vaccinated. Talking to business owners now, obviously they're very excited. The weather has gotten beautiful, and you know, people are eating outside now, and people were really excited about seeing people again. And as we mentioned earlier, shaking hands and maybe even hugging people again. And those really simple things that we took for granted 16, 17 months ago are now so important to everyone. And for business owners, what's important is making sure they have staff. You know, some folks are still having trouble retaining or getting staff or getting their staff to come back after they've been on unemployment for a while, whatever the case is. we're seeing all these supply chain issues, even with like, our local donut shop that just opened here recently. They're having to really focus on, some of the supply chain issues they've seen and how the cost of supplies have went up so drastically. And they're having to make, particular decisions surrounding that. So, I mean, while we're all really excited about this next phase we're entering, and we as an organization are getting ready to launch a really exciting new program that is actually complements an existing buy local program we already have, and a lot of businesses are signing up for it. We haven't announced it yet. While that's all happening and people are excited, they're also having to be really mindful about the challenges that being in this post-COVID era, the challenges that they're facing now. And we predict that the trends are really kind of showing that a lot of that will even out by the fall. We hope that those prices go down somewhat and that they can go back to a full normal environment. But they're having to keep all that in mind. So considering all that, we're being mindful of that and supporting them any way we can as an organization, and just making sure that the public is aware, like they are, just as Deborah with your campaign, this incredible campaign. We're so glad to see some Charleston businesses focused in that campaign, that video. Just as you're doing the statewide here at this micro level, we're doing all we can to make sure the public knows they're open again. You can come in and dine. It's safe. Awesome. And it's a great product. So,
Rick, thank you for your thoughts on that. That's very insightful. Terry, you're a household name around the state of West Virginia, especially when it comes to Main Street programs. You ran the Main Street Morgantown program for many, many years, and brought a lot of innovative thoughts and ideas to the table. You were very influential in helping us find a diverse cross mix of businesses. I think we had like 25 different businesses featured in this video in 13 different communities, shot all across West Virginia. Talk a little bit about your involvement with this video project. Well, not just the video, but the whole campaign, and what it means to West Virginia.
Well, and I appreciate being offered the opportunity to work with Deborah and yourself on this project and the team. There was nothing more worthwhile this year that I have worked on than a campaign and a program to help small business people. If you have a passion for this, it never goes away, regardless if you're like Rick and you continue to work with the Main Street program, or you're a consultant like myself. I was also very proud, again, to be a West Virginian, that once I got out there and just searched and searched and searched to see what other programs were out there, what other states were doing, what other cities were doing, I identified right away. There again, West Virginia, we were on the cutting edge. We were way out there ahead of everybody else. So I think a lot of people are going to look at our campaign and start to model their campaigns, which is okay. There's no use in what we all do and reinventing the wheel. And if we can help others and lift everybody up, that's what it's about. I really enjoyed the aspect of my involvement, getting to reach out to the business owners and line up those appointments so that, Jim, your crew could go out and do the fabulous video, the still shots. So this has been my Peace Corps project, if you will, for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my passion is very similar, Terry, in helping small business owners, entrepreneurs, those risk takers. And I've been doing that ever since I graduated from WVU. Actually, probably 6 months before, I was working in a radio station, really trying to help promote local small business owners here in North Central West Virginia. And that's my passion too. I feel like we're all connected. Everybody on this call is connected by that driver of business owners and those entrepreneurs here in West Virginia, because we always say that the small businesses are the backbone of West Virginia. There's something like 114,000 small businesses in our state. And that is pretty profound when you think about that number. And those small businesses make up the culture and the flavor of every town that across West Virginia, every one of our 55 counties. Deborah, I'm interested in knowing your thoughts on, because we talked a lot about diversity and showing, a wide variety of businesses, but I was struck by just the number of, like, when I saw that the 25 businesses that were featured, there is a real sense of diversity here. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that, because we
Right.
are kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. And what you just said is completely on target, and what we want to accomplish with this campaign, in that each of our communities has a unique feel and a unique flavor. And it's the reason, and that flavor is the reason that the people who live there want to be there.
Yes.
And that's what we're hoping to highlight with this campaign. And I think you did a great job of that, with the companies that you featured on the video.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We had, Rick, we had your mayor, Amy Schuler Goodwin, on this very program last Friday, talking about some of the things that were happening down in the Charleston area from her perspective. And I think those kind of meshed exactly with what you were saying. Yesterday, I had a really great opportunity to be a part of the State Journal, which is one of our sponsors here on the show. They had the 40 under 40 Generation Next Awards, where they honor leaders throughout the state of West Virginia who are under 40 years old, which is kind of like to me, it's like the future of West Virginia, and it was really great. We had our state auditor was able to give the opening salvo, and he delivered about a 6-minute address or so. And it was just fantastic. And one of the things that struck me that he said was, it's easy for people to leave West Virginia and go to another community like Raleigh or Charlotte or something like that, and just find a job. It's easy to do that, but it's hard to stay here in West Virginia and make a difference and make that decision. And I think what each one of you on the call here today, you've committed to that. You've committed to making West Virginia a better place. And I think about, these entrepreneurs, these small business owners that, just like Deborah said, the culture and the flavor of West Virginia are these small business owners. They're the ones who sponsor the soccer team and the lacrosse team and the little t-ball teams. And they're out there, picking up road trash with a Rotary Club on Saturday mornings, and I think that kind of stuff is really, it goes unsung a lot of times. And to be able to shed the light on these people, not just the businesses, but the people behind the businesses, to me was super cool. And Deborah, I wanted to ask you, obviously we have a whole campaign here that's unleashed right now, and it starts with this video, but there's other things such as social media, and, the Department of Commerce sent out a mass media release yesterday. Talk a little bit about your expectations from, how to get people involved with this.
Yeah, so we're going to run this campaign through mid-September. And it just so happens that in mid-September, the SBA is going to be having Small Business Week. So that is a great tie-in to this campaign.
Yep.
But what we would like to have happen in between, for the rest of the summer months, is for any business who would like to participate to download one of our signs. You can either download it or get one of our printed copies, and we'll have those distributed out to chambers of commerce and Main Street director offices throughout the state. Just put one of those signs in your storefront window, take a photo of it or yourself with the sign, and post it on social media with our hashtag #WeAreOpenWV. And that way we can generate buzz, we can generate excitement, and make the public aware that all of our communities are open and you are welcoming your customers back.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great tool. And we'll drop the link on that whole toolkit right in the comment section of this podcast, and make sure that everybody has the link for that, because it is super cool. And the way that SBDC has put together this landing page with all the tools right on that one page, including the video and all the shareable content and the toolkit for social media is awesome. So any small business owner who's listening to this and catches word of this, we want to get everybody involved throughout West Virginia, all 55 counties.
Absolutely. We hope to reach every business owner.
Yeah, every business owner. Exactly. I agree with that 100%. And you guys had a couple thousand of these signs printed up, 2,500 that you're going to be distributing as well. Deborah, talk a little bit about, because, on our podcast, Positively West Virginia, just about every time I asked a question of these small business owners, and we've done about 250 interviews so far. I always ask the question, what's one piece of advice you would give for entrepreneurs and startup businesses? And they always talk about the SBA and the SBDC. Invariably, they always ask, or they always comment that the SBDC and the SBA were influential in helping them at some capacity, which I think is really a cool thing. Talk a little bit about what the SBDC does and how your coaches interact and help small business owners. I think our audience would be interested in hearing that.
Sure. We do, well, our central service is one-on-one technical assistance. And it's hard to describe exactly what that looks like because it's different for every business. We work with everyone from startup to existing businesses who want to expand. And whether your need is to find startup financing or to develop a employee manual because you've gone from 10 employees to 30 employees and you realize you need to implement some management processes, we can help you figure all of that out. And I think any business owner will tell you that no one can do it alone. You can't run a business alone. And so we are the professionals who are available to any business who just has questions about how to run a business. So that's the central feature that we offer among our services. We also do a lot of training. And so, if you have a question about a particular topic, you can tune into one of our trainings and get some insight into that. We also, and I really want to draw attention to this, but we know that we're not all things to all people, and we don't want to be. And so we have great relationships with other service providers around the state who can give businesses the help that are outside our sort of scope of experience. And so we make referrals to other service providers around the state that are specific to other needs that businesses might have. We have great relationships with all those organizations and are happy to refer businesses to them when that's what they need.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll make sure we have a link also for folks to get in touch with you guys at WVSBDC. Karen, talk a little bit about what the SBA does and how you're different than what the SBDC does.
So the SBA is a federal agency, and we help small businesses to start, grow, sustain, and succeed. And we do that through our programs and our services. But we also do that with our resource partner network. We have way more in our resource partner networks than we do in federal employees for the SBA. So those four major resource partners are, of course, the Small Business Development Center, our Women's Business Center, it's the Veteran Business Outreach Centers, and it's also our SCORE chapters. So we utilize them to be able to help provide kind of hands-on off. We just really strongly encourage small business owners, don't wait until you've got a problem to reach out to have a resource partner help you or kind of be with you and guide you along the path, because they are there no matter what. And they can help you get your financing package together before you go to the bank. They can help you with some of the programs and services that are available that small businesses have been applying for throughout the COVID pandemic that we've been on. So there's just so many things that those resource partners can do that benefit you as a small business, and it's of no cost. That's your tax dollars at work.
Yeah.
So we're proud to be able to be a part of that.
That's awesome. And, I think just like Deborah said, you don't have to go it alone. Right. And I think, being proactive as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, it's a lonely life anyway. A lot of times, there's no sense in being alone when you have partners out there like the SBA and the SBDC. Rick, talk a little bit about your Main Street program. How many members do you have there in Charleston?
Well, as far as our businesses, we have two certified programs underneath our umbrella, the east and then the west side. So the two urban neighborhood business districts, and between the two, it's well over 100. I think it's about 120 businesses total that we have on our website. We don't actually charge for membership. We're sort of unique in that way that we don't require that our businesses pay to be involved and to receive any type of services or be involved with a Shop Local campaign or whatever. There's no requirement that they pay. We do list them as district businesses. But yeah, I mean, between the two, we have well over 100, close to 120. And, they come in all shapes and sizes, and they're every industry you can think of. A lot of very historic businesses in the city of Charleston that have been here in some cases for over 100 years. And they still need help, and to what Karen and Deborah were both talking about earlier. One of the first questions we always ask an entrepreneur who's looking to find a building or looking to start a business is, have you contacted the SBDC? Have you talked to an officer at the SBDC? Because so many resources, Terry mentioned reinventing the wheel. We certainly don't want to do that here locally. These resources are out there. One of our jobs is to point these folks in the direction of those resources. And every case they go to them and get what they need, especially at that foundational level.
Yep, I think that's a great point. And Terry, I want to get your thoughts on this concept. When we developed the Come In, We're Open, you and I brainstormed on this, and we liked that theme because it was simple. It was easy to identify with. But the words "come in," "we're open" have lots of different meanings in this campaign. We're open to new ways of doing business, right? And the pandemic has told us that we have to shift, just like Rick was talking about. Even if you've been in business 100 years, you have to be able to be open, quote unquote, to new ways of doing things, new ways of setting up your restaurant so that people can feel safe and feel comfortable in there. Come in, we're open, meaning that we're open to diversity, right? We're open to serving lots of different types of people. We want tourists to come to our state. We want people to move here, right? To help us with our population situation that we're facing right now with lots of young people leaving the state. And, that's one of our challenges that we hear all the time. Terry, what are some of your thoughts on that Come In, We're Open theme and what it meant to you?
What it meant to me was it was just an opportunity for a lot of people to get a refresh. A lot of people probably didn't realize their business probably needed a little bit of a refresh.
Yeah.
And particularly those that were starting to get towards the edge there of, were they going to make it or are they not going to make it?
Mm-hmm.
And so just like anything in life, those people that have that positive attitude and see the glass half full instead of half empty said, well, I need to stand here. We had this pause, and what direction can I take my business into at this point in time? In my years of Main Street, the utilizing both SBA and SBDC to potential businesses coming in was invaluable. I remember having Rick Haney, which I don't know if Rick's still with SBA, had him on speed dial, and Sharon Stratton over on the SBDC side. And when people would come in, I would say, yeah, I need you to talk to Rick. And you need to talk with Sharon. These are free services. Our tax dollars, yours, mine, are paying for them. You need to get your business plan. You need to get some help with a financing pathway. And I guess I'm always surprised when I mention both of these acronyms and people just kind of glaze over, because as Rick knows, in our world, I mean, these people are on speed dial.
Yeah. And they're your friends, right? They want to see you succeed, and that's their mission. It's interesting, Deborah, listening to Terry and Rick's comments, I think about when we started the actual implementation of going out and shooting the video, which is kind of the centerpiece of this campaign. It was amazing to our team. Like, everybody was like, yes, we need this. Yes, come in. I will be there, whatever time you need us to be there. It was just overwhelming how this was received out in the small business community. And as soon as I started hearing that feedback, I was like, okay, we've got something here that's going to be really cool. So give your thoughts on that aspect, if you would.
Sure. I think, well, Rick mentioned this a little while ago too. I think everybody is excited to, I won't say get back to normal, because I don't think it's going to be what it was before.
Right.
But as Terry mentioned, it's been an opportunity for all of us to reset and think about our priorities going forward. And I think businesses are may look a little different. They may be doing business a little differently from the way they did it before. And that's a great thing. Because one of the things that we are focusing on with this, not just with this campaign, but with all that the SBDC has been doing for the last year, is helping businesses be more resilient, so that when something like this happens again, which it inevitably will, it'll be a little easier next time to get through it. And so, things are going to look different, but I think this is a very optimistic time. It's the beginning of summer. We've got West Virginia Day, and it couldn't be a better opportunity for us to kick off this campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very important. Karen, do you have anything to add on to what Deborah just said?
Yeah, I just want to say that right now we're having a lot of the small businesses out there now reevaluating. They had to pivot during the pandemic, and so they're reevaluating their business plans, and they're trying to figure out, what does the new normal how is that going to be for them? What is it going to look like, and where do they want to go? We had our Emerging Leaders program that kicked off this year, and we weren't sure at first whether we should do it or not, because a lot of people were, with COVID and everything, we weren't sure it could happen. So it went virtual, but the bottom line is, people said, hey, if I can't really work in my business right now, I may as well be working on my business. Mm-hmm. So this was an exceptional opportunity. We're getting great compliments and feedback from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know at the bottom of the hour right now, we have scheduled Gurpreet Singh with Sitar of India. And I think Hampton's bringing that Gurpreet into the call right now. So we're going to hear from a small business owner what this campaign means to them as well. Gurpreet, are you with us? The microphone is muted.
Yes, sir.
How are you, sir?
Very good. Good morning to everyone.
Great. I see you're rocking the flying WV. That's awesome.
I'm proud to be.
Well, Gurpreet, tell us a little bit about your company, Sitar of India. What is it you do, and where are you located?
We are located on the Lee Street in Charleston. We are owning an Indian restaurant. This is the first Indian restaurant in West Virginia, and we are operating this restaurant since 1993. And we make a relationship like a family with our customer, and that's why I'm proud to be a West Virginian.
That's awesome. And I'm sure you know Rick Cavender from Charleston's Main Street program. Gurpreet,
yes,
talk a little bit about, have you heard our conversation about the Come In, We're Open campaign, and really getting folks coming back into local establishments? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's good. We are excited to come back to normal right now, because every business is struggling right now. And restaurant, we are mostly dependent on like deliveries. And we don't imagine we are going on a losses, because those companies are taking already 30% from us, and we are not making that much. So we are excited to go to normal, and the platform like you is helping us for the small businesses to grow up, and finally with no cost. That's a big thing for us right now. And because right now everyone is struggling, and we are still getting, and the good thing is that we are getting a lot of help from our locals, and the people are trying to help the small businesses. And we are looking for a future with a positive way. We are still struggling. We are trying to get some new people to work with us. Hopefully it will be normal in future in a couple of months.
Absolutely. Gurpreet, I want to ask you, if you could say a few words about people who are listening to this to encourage them to support local businesses, what would it be that what would you tell them?
Firstly, I tell them to come out and help us. And every small business needs the local support. And to be honest, we get that. And West Virginia are really great people here, and we have a really great community, and they always try to help small businesses. And we still want them to come out and give us a view. If we need some improvements or something else, we will try our best to give the services and we will try to make safer as their recommendation or their expectation. So we will try our best, and we are getting a really help. That's why we are still in the business from this hard time. And that's it. West Virginia rocks.
I love it. Deborah, how does it feel, hearing somebody like Gurpreet talking about he's so appreciative of this campaign and the fact that he doesn't have to pay for anything, that we're out there promoting his business along with every business in West Virginia. Right. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel great. And I want to thank primarily the SBA. It's SBA funding that's allowing us to do this campaign in the first place. We're thankful for our partners, primarily you and your company, who helped us bring it to life. I am thankful that it is has come to be the vision that I had a very vague idea of what it could be, and we've been able to bring it to life. And it's gratifying to see that business owners are finding a positive outcome.
Awesome. Rick, do you have any thoughts for Gurpreet?
Well, first I'll say I just got takeout this past Sunday at Sitar. It's, always awesome as always. So that's of course, yes. And I'll say, Sitar brought Indian food to the city, and maybe, I'm not sure about the state, I can't comment on that, but certainly to Charleston. And they're a staple. They're a mainstay. I'm obviously excited for when the buffet is fully back. I won't lie. I'm a little selfish, but totally understand. And I'll just say, they are a downtown business that's not necessarily in our district, but we have been working really hard to make more partnerships with the downtown merchants and to offer opportunities to collaborate with them. And I think that everybody's just trying to help. Everybody is trying to help everyone right now to succeed. Mm-hmm. And what I'll just say really quickly, and I know Gurpreet would agree with this, and I'm sure identifies with this a lot. So many of our small businesses, this is their livelihood. It's their livelihood. This is how they put food on their tables at their houses, right? Like running these small businesses. So while the thought of supporting a small business, because to your point earlier, Jim, that this is really the heartbeat of our cities, our small businesses. They help build the culture of our towns and our cities, absolutely. But also supporting a small business is supporting the people who run it, their families, and there's something I think really kind of philosophical about that we like to keep in mind. So again, Gurpreet, thank you for sticking it out through this, because we love your food.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That is awesome. And I, personally, I love shining the spotlight on the SBA and the SBDC and, Main Street Charleston and Terry's company, but also the people out there, just like Gurpreet, who is bringing that flavor, literally, no pun intended, to in the the culture to these towns. And it could be a big city, it could be a small town in one of our rural counties, and these are the folks just like Gurpreet that are special, and I personally love edifying, lifting up, right? Saying, hey, you are the people that are getting it done day in and day out. Karen, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what Gurpreet was saying there.
So I really hope that Gurpreet, your business and all of the other small businesses out there, that you really kind of see the Come In, We're Open campaign as a gift. It's a gift to try and lift you guys up on a platform and try and really help push and hopefully spread like wildfire throughout our communities, throughout the state, and so forth. So that just to remind all consumers that we are here to support the small businesses in our communities. They do so much for us and for our schools and our children and you name it. But the bottom line is that we want you as small businesses to know that you have our support. You have our federal agency support from the SBA. You have our resource partners support from the SBDC and all of the other resource partners. And we want you to know that you have our consumer support. All of us as consumers really want to help spread the word as well. We want to be out there and we want to be inside the stores. We're tired of, doing the drive up thing or sitting outside. We want to be inside. It's too hot to sit outside now.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
The brighter days are ahead.
Gurpreet, I'd like to get your thoughts on what Karen just said there, and how do you take that?
It's good. Like it's always proud that we are getting too much help from the locals. That is a good thing, and that is help us to learn more and do better and better. And like we are just a small family business, and we are trying to get we are getting a lot of help. And I know with the West Virginia, I know some people who say we are on the high chair when we came to the restaurant. Now they are doing a bigger jobs, and that realize what is the relationship we have with the people, and that's made more excited day by day. And
Exactly.
the people like you, great peoples, and we are learning a lot of things from you and getting help from you. So that's it.
That's awesome. Our guests once again today on the Positively West Virginia Small Business Mastermind are Deborah Martin. She's the director of the West Virginia Small Business Development Center. Karen Friel, the SBA District Director for West Virginia. Rick Cavender, who's the director of Charleston's Main Street program. And Terry Reed Cutright with TRC Associates up in Morgantown. And we also are joined by Gurpreet Singh, who is with Sitar of India in Charleston, a fine Indian restaurant, which I've not been able to frequent yet, but when next time I'm in Charleston, Gurpreet, I'm going to come see you
anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're talking about, folks, is as the economy in West Virginia is continuing to reopening at really a vigorous pace right now, with the mask mandate coming out or being dropped at the end of this week on Sunday. The West Virginia SBDC is encouraging people to support small business. And we've got this new campaign called Come In, We're Open. And that's what we're talking about today, just really getting folks going on that. We've dropped some links on the Facebook Live page so folks can get the social media toolkit. If you're a small business, we want to encourage you to hang up the Come In, We're Open sign, watch the video, share these posts on social media, hashtag We Are Open WV in all the posts, and really get some traction on this. And Gurpreet, I would love to see your business do that too. Do you guys do you have a Facebook page?
Yes, sir, we do.
We'll make sure we drop a link on this podcast for that as well, so folks can know how to get with you. And if you haven't already done so, print out that sign, take a picture, and put it on social media with that hashtag.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And encourage your other small businesses there in Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
Same. That'd be awesome. We're hoping to get real good traction on this. And really the call to action here is to think of those small businesses first, and I can't remember if it was Deborah or Karen that mentioned, we're kind of tired of not being able to go into these small businesses, and some have adapted really, really well with e-commerce and being able to order and things online, which is fantastic. I totally get that. But, really focusing on these small business owners, just like Gurpreet, is going to be essential. Terry, I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of this conversation.
Yeah, and it's great too. I actually am the one that contacted Gurpreet, so it's nice to see his face. I have frequented his restaurant in Charleston, and as we were looking at some unique businesses within Charleston, immediately his restaurant came to mind. And it's just great to work with a family-owned restaurant also, because as we are all West Virginians, we probably plan on staying here, that eventually we will become his children's restaurant or his children's customers, and then the great-grandchildren. I mean, so it's always great to have that relationship. And in West Virginia, relationships are important to us. I talked with somebody yesterday from the Midwest, and I just felt like I was just getting too much personality and too much relationship going with her, because and I just finally said, in West Virginia, we are about relationships. And so it's just great to get to meet you in person. And I'll be back in your restaurant when I am in Charleston again.
I'm inviting everyone. You can come.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And party on me.
I would like to go around the horn and kind of get everybody's thoughts on this. One thing that you're optimistic about right now. Deborah, I would love to hear something that you're optimistic about right now.
I'm optimistic about the different ways that businesses are going to find to be successful going forward. As I mentioned, and Karen mentioned it, or one of us mentioned, this has been an opportunity for all of us, not only individuals, to think about our own lives and the things that are important and what we want our lives to look like going forward, but it's also been an opportunity for businesses to work on their business instead of, being busy, busy, busy in their business. And so I'm excited about all the different ways that they are going to find to alter their operations and be successful in the future.
That's awesome. Karen, what are you optimistic about right now?
Well, after I watched the Come In, We're Open video, I was rejuvenated. I know the economy is starting to come back. We see that as we start getting out there. The video just kind of, like I say, we want it to go like wildfire. We really want people to get involved. We want these small business store owners to run off or download that sign, print it off, take some pictures with it, share it on social media. I'm optimistic that more people, just like what we're saying, it excites us. I'm sure it's going to excite them as well. So we want more people to do that. The small businesses truly are the heart and soul of our communities. And I think this video is just a great reminder. So continue to just spread the word and go out and support as consumers.
That's awesome. Terry, what's something you're optimistic about right now?
I'm optimistic about something I never saw coming, that I am just shocked of the new businesses that are opening every day. I just, everybody talked about how many businesses are we going to lose, and, are they all going to be gone? What are we going to do? And I am just so excited. And Jim, we're associated with a lot of entrepreneurs, and just for them to be bold, open up these new exciting businesses are, lifting up the entire business community. So I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome. Rick, how about yourself?
You know what? I've thought some about this recently, and watching my social media feed, watching people that 18 months ago, their first thought was to go to chain restaurant A or B. And I feel like the message about shopping and eating local has permeated a new level, if you will. The folks that I would have sort of just assumed that they wouldn't think to go to the West Side to get lunch at Books and Brews or Gonzo Burger, or to go to the East End to eat at Starling's in the morning for their breakfast. Those folks never, I don't think, would have thought that way 18 months ago. And because of these really awesome campaigns, this one that we're getting ready, that's just launching, and because organizations like ours and so many others who are just really drilling home the importance of supporting your local shopkeepers, I really think it's permeating a new level and a new sort of like level of society that we didn't see before. I think a lot of people are getting engaged, and they're getting on social media. They're saying, "Go try this place out." And these are folks that I never would have thought that they would have said that. And so I think that what this campaign is going to do, and many other sort of micro campaigns that are happening in other small towns and cities across the state, I think it's just going to continue and really help that trend. So I'm optimistic about the fact that it's not just us in this bubble that I call it that are constantly preaching this message every day, that are talking about small business. It's the everyday consumer that I think is now more focused on buying their goods and they're getting their services locally.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Gurpreet, I would love to hear what you're optimistic for right now.
I think agree with the Rick, and like your campaign I'm optimistic. Like the small business, you are helping small business, that helps us a lot, and I'm already agree with Rick, and that is the same view for me.
That's awesome. One of the things that I'm going to go around the horn again with this question, but one of the things that jumps out at me today is, we've learned a lot over the last 15, 16 months. What's a leadership lesson that each one of you guys has maybe learned over the last 15, 16 months? Terry, Reed, Cutright, I'd like to start with you.
Just to continue to surround yourself with positive people. I was listening to a podcast yesterday when I was traveling, and just being able to kind of weed out negative people in your life and just continue, and particularly in business, just surround yourself with a lot of positive business people and you will succeed.
Oh, very good. I love that. Karen, what's a leadership lesson you've learned in the last 15, 16 months?
We have really gotten an opportunity to look very closely at the small businesses and everything that we could do for them. And we've done a lot, but there is so much more that's still there that can be done. So one of the things that we have all seen these businesses pivot and hustle, and they've had to adapt to everything the pandemic has thrown at them. So my office has really had done the same thing. We've had to pivot in our roles, and we've taken in thousands of phone calls, and we've conducted hundreds of trainings. We've been trying to do everything that we can to help our small businesses. Unfortunately, not all the small businesses have made it through this pandemic, and that's truly what keeps us awake at night.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that we start every day with a brief meeting with my staff, and we talk about our schedules, we talk about the available programs, and we build a very robust training schedule so that we're working to make the largest impact that we can each day to try and help. And we do that through working with these resource partners. We go hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, to try and be able to be out there for everyone. But because we can't be out there truly for everyone, there's not enough of us to truly have a one-on-one. We really hope that you small businesses that are on here listening, if you know of a neighbor or another small business, please give them our information so that we can get in touch with them, because there is so much that we would like to help with.
That's awesome. Deborah, what's a leadership lesson you've learned over the last several months?
I think about how important it is to focus on our humanity and the importance of face-to-face contact. And I mean this in the context of not only businesses. I think we all feel very excited about getting to go shop in our favorite stores and eat at our favorite restaurants again and have that kind of face-to-face contact. But even in our work lives, we get so caught up in doing our work that we forget how important it is to have relationships with our coworkers, for example. My staff who are located around the state haven't seen each other since December of 2019. And that's had a real impact on us. And I can't wait for the opportunity for us to get together again as a staff.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Rick?
I would say always learning to listen more. I think that, I've spent so many hours on the phone. I think we've all been Zoomed out at this point, right? We're all Zooming all our meetings and we're ready to get back in person, no doubt. But through this through this pandemic rather, I've spent countless hours on the phone with so many of our business owners, and still haven't talked to all of them. I'm sure there are a few that we didn't get to talk to, but so many they needed someone that would listen to them. Like, here are our issues. This is what I'm worried about. This is what I'm scared of. They may not even be calling for advice in some cases. They just they need to be heard. Because again, to my earlier point, it is their livelihood. And so for me, throughout this process, you're in a position like this, you sit at your desk, you're like, I got to start working. What can we do right now? And I've been in that situation where I'm not listening and I'm just working and I'm like assuming what they may need. And I learned a lot more about how important it is to just sit down and listen for a while, and then take that information and figure out how we can serve them best. And so I would just say, continue to listen. They need your ear.
That's good stuff. Gurpreet,
I think we learn a lot. The thing is that the first thing is that having a positive way, and the good thing is that we get a lot of support from the other small businesses, even though those are competitive to us. But in this time, everyone is like helping, giving back to the society, something like that. And other than the competition, we still like working with each other. And if I having a shortage, everyone is helping. So we learn like a helping nature a lot and giving our society back as much we can. So this pandemic teaches us a lot. And staying with the positive people and try to help as much you can, and working with your co-workers and motivate them to come to the work and give you services. So
beautiful.
A lot of change.
Yeah, I think that's all great. And I appreciate you guys sharing all that, because I think there's a lot of lessons right there that you just shared that are pretty profound. And I would just add my own little flavor, and that is that you can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. And having people and partnerships, and strategic referring partners and strategic people that, just like Rick was saying, just people that would listen to me, going through some of this stuff. I remember at one point, I was talking to my wife, Rebecca, and this was about 2 months into the shutdown. And I came home one day, and because I would come into the office by myself, my team was all working remote, and she was working in her office. She works at WV Medicine. And I said, I just I can't take any more today. I'm spent. And she said, what's the matter? She said, I feel like I've been talking people off the ledge all day long. And she's like, well, that's good because you're good at that. I said, I know, but I feel like I'm out there on the ledge with them. I need somebody to bounce this stuff off. But those are some great lessons. And I will share one other takeaway. I guess, I don't know if this is a leadership lesson, but it's one of my reflections. And I am so ready to put the phrase, "You're on mute," behind us, that I can't even see straight on that one. So I feel like we're going to be in person meeting, and we're going to be like, we can't, you're on mute. What are you going to do? Well, guys, listen, I've really thoroughly enjoyed talking with you guys today. Gurpreet, with Sitar of India there in Charleston, thank you for sharing your insight, small business owner, and what this campaign, Come In, We're Open, by the West Virginia Small Business Development Center. Deborah Martin, you're doing a fantastic job as the director, and I love the enthusiasm and the creative energy that you bring to the job every day. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Karen Friel, the SBA district director. Thank you, Karen, for being on the show today. I appreciate you. And I think, from the SBA's perspective, I mean, it's just awesome. Everything that you're doing to ensure that small business owners and small business entrepreneurs, that the risk takers out there, have the tools that they need to be successful. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Rick Cavender is the director of Charleston's Main Street program. Rick, thank you for being on the show and everything you're doing down in your neck of the woods.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Terry Cutright, what can I say? This has been fun. I think this is the first official project you and I have really worked on together.
Yes, and what a project to launch together.
Yeah, Terry and I have known each other for many, many years, and I just think the world of her, and she does a great job. So thank you guys again for this opportunity to share and really launch this new program. We're excited about it. We encourage everybody to take advantage of the tools. Again, go to the link on the Facebook Live page, and we'll make sure that folks can get the tools and the social media toolkit that's out there, the access to the video, and really some backstory on how the whole campaign came about. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys and your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, that's it for today's Positively West Virginia Small Business Mastermind. Our hope is that we brought you some valuable insight that you could use in your business today to win. And we absolutely did that. I'm 100% sure of that. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors for the Positively West Virginia Small Business Mastermind, and they include the State Journal, WVNews.com, and Interaction Media. Positively West Virginia is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. You can learn more about our mission of advancing small business and entrepreneurship in West Virginia at positivelywv.com. And I also want to remind our listeners and viewers right now across all of the Facebook Live streams that you may be seeing this video, that coming up at 12:30 and a half an hour, we are going to be bringing you on these same channels the Healthy Harrison podcast, which is a really amazing project of the Healthy Harrison organization. It's a live show where they talk about advancing healthcare and well-being and wellness across Harrison County, West Virginia. But there's some great lessons in there for all of the state of West Virginia, and they're doing some really great things there at Healthy Harrison. On behalf of our entire Interaction Media team, including our producer today, Hampton Hill, I'm your host, Jim Matuga.